Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about comets as we continue to look at the solar system. Should you need to get a hold of me, my email address is on the screen. Don't hesitate to give me a shout out. So some of you may remember that over this last summer that a comet called Neowise passed through the inner solar system. This was back in July. So if you went outside in the evening, you might have been able to see something that looked a little like this. Now, unlike shooting stars, which flash across the sky very quickly, comets don't really appear to move other than the way the moon moves, which is with the rotation of the Earth. So Neowise visited us in July, and this is something like what it might have looked like if you went outside to observe it. You can see that we have a very bright part and this long sort of extended bit that looks almost like a contrail from a plane that's back behind it. So really, when we talk about comets, a comet is just an icy object. I really like to compare comets to big dirty snowballs because comets just aren't made from ice. They're also made from bits of rock and dust. And so if you think of a big dirty snowball, you have the right idea for a comet. Comets can be relatively small, but they can also be, well, gigantic. And so there's a lot of difference in size when we look at these types of objects. As you might imagine, comets mostly exist very, very far from the sun. They're found in those colder reaches, the outer reaches of the solar system. We occasionally will have a comet like Neowise that will come into the inner solar system as a visitor, but that's not where it formed, and that's not where we find most comets. So this is really, when you think of a comet, not a terrible way to think of it right here, this big old dirty snowball. When we talk about comets visiting the interior of the solar system, uh, we really need to start thinking about the fact that the temperature change when it moves from the cold area, the cold region, to the warmer region, that's going to cause the comet to begin to melt. So when we look at a comet, like when we looked at that picture of Neowise, we could see that long bit that was coming off of it. We call that the comet's tail. And that comet tail is just really material that's being left behind, gas and dust, as the comet melts. And so that material, the comet is physically actually getting smaller as it moves through the inner solar system. And comets can completely melt and finally break up. So I said the size was variable. This picture was a good picture that I found that gives us an idea of what I mean by that. This is the city of Los Angeles, and it's a comet, and I can't remember the name of it, that we have actually visited. We've actually landed a probe on a comet. But you can see that this is not a small dirty snowball, that these things can be quite huge. So before I let you go today, I want to make sure that everybody is picking up on the fact that we have really three main regions in our solar system. So we have three main regions. Those three regions that I want you to at least know are the asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt, and then something called the Oort cloud. So let's take a look at those very, very briefly. So the asteroid belt, well, of course, that's where the asteroids are. And the asteroid belt in our solar system is going to be in here in between the inner solar system and the outer solar system, between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Now, of course, it's the asteroid belt because that's where most of the asteroids in our solar system are going to be orbiting. Asteroids being those big chunks of rock and metal, the potatoes, those big potato-shaped things. So we're going to find that asteroid belt is about 2 to 3 AU from the sun. 1 AU is about 93 million miles, and so we're looking at roughly about 270 million miles from the sun. Now, the next region that we want to talk about is quite a bit further away. This region out here is called the Kuiper belt. So the Kuiper belt is out past the orbit of Neptune, and so it is very, very far out in our solar system. Because it's so far away, this is a region where we have a lot of icy objects that have formed and that orbit. So the Kuiper belt is really all about small icy objects. We have some comets there, and this is also where we find many of the dwarf planets, to include Pluto and some others. So this region is about 30 to 50 AU away. So if you were to take 1 AU is 93 million miles, multiply that by 30, that's a lot, 30 times 93. So it's quite far away. Okay? And the final region that I want to make sure that you understand is something called the Oort cloud. So the Oort cloud is this big spherical shaped um, cloud that surrounds our entire solar system in every direction. So this region of the solar system, this is mostly where we have comets. And so we have billions and billions, if not trillions of comets that are in orbit around our sun in this big cloud that completely surrounds our solar system. To give you an idea, as compared to where the asteroid belt was, 2 to 3 AU away, we look out here where we find the comets. This is about 50,000 AU away. So it's an incredibly far distance away from our sun. Our sun's gravity is quite strong to be able to pull on objects that are that far away and hold them in their orbit. So that should about cover it for today. We've learned a little bit about comets, and I want you to keep in mind these 3 regions of the solar system and what you're going to find there: the asteroid, Kuiper, and the Oort cloud. Thanks, bye.